This is Copa 90, and these are the top 10 shocks in football ever.
Number 10.
It's pretty rare to see a Romanian team in the Champions League these days, let alone seeing one winning the biggest prize in European club football. But that is exactly what happened when Steaua Bucharest defeated European giants Barcelona to win the European Cup in 1986. The game itself was as dull as dishwater, with Steaua parking the bus and playing for penalties from the very first minute. But their game plan worked a treat, as they got their penalty shootout and then goalkeeper Helmut Duckerdam saved all 4 Barcelona penalties. Number 9.
There are many third-round shocks in the FA Cup's history, but maybe none as shocking as when Wrexham dumped Arsenal out of the Cup in 1992. The Welsh club had finished bottom of the 4th division the previous season, while Arsenal were at the opposite end of the spectrum as league champions. In the game, Arsenal went ahead late in the first half, but Wrexham struck twice in the last 10 minutes, including a wonder free kick from 37-year-old Mickey Thomas as David slayed Goliath 2-1. Number 8.
This game will be remembered for 2 reasons. Number 1, one of the biggest upset in Scottish football as part-timers Inverness Caledonian Thistle humbled one of the giants of Scottish football in their own backyard. And number 2, for one of the greatest newspaper headlines in the history of printed media, as the Sun went all Mary Poppins on us with Super Cali Go Ballistic Celtic are atrocious. And while the result will rank as one of the lowest points in Celtic's history, it could actually have been a blessing in disguise, as John Barnes was sacked as manager 2 days later. Number 7.
In 1984, Verona was famous for a balcony scene of Romeo and Juliet and not much else. But all that was to change when Hellas Verona won Serie A despite having only been promoted 2 years previously. It was an amazing achievement from the side from Verona, made all the more impressive by the fact that the title had been won with a squad where only 17 players featured all season. And it was the first time in 15 years that the Italian Championship had gone outside the major cities of Turin, Milan and Rome. Number 6.
At 6, and surely the biggest shock that the world's oldest football competition has ever seen, chasing their 2nd league and cup double in 3 years, Liverpool were expected to turn up and roll all over Wimbledon. But the crazy gang, so named because of the mad behaviour of players like John Fashanu and Vinnie Jones, had other ideas. The only goal of the game arrived in a classic Wimbledon style when Laurie Sanchez flicked home a Dennis Wise free kick. Dave Besant then went on to make FA Cup final history, becoming the first goalkeeper to save a penalty in the final as the Dons won 1-0. Number 5.
When reigning world champions Argentina were paired against first-time world qualifiers Cameroon in the opening game of Italia 90, no one gave the West Africans a prayer. The underdogs came into the game with a fairly obvious plan to stop the talents of Diego Maradona and co by kicking the Argentinians from pillar to post. This tactic saw them reduced to 10 men early in the second half, but they scored against a run of play and despite another red card, held on for the win. Cameroon's journey saw them go all the way to the quarter-finals, where they were beaten in a memorable game by England. Number 4.
It is not often that teams win a tournament they fail to qualify for, but that is exactly what Denmark did in the European Championship of 1992. In qualifying, Yugoslavia finished above the Danes, but with civil war raging in the country, UEFA were forced to exclude the Yugoslavs and Denmark entered the tournament as lucky losers. With limited preparation time and without their best player Marco Laudrup, the Danes started poorly, yet still qualified from England's group before beating Holland and finally world champions Germany to win the trophy. Number 3.
France came into the World Cup of 2002 holding 3 major trophies: the World Cup, the Euros and the Confederations Cup. But these trophies or their reputation counted for nothing, as they were stunned 1-0 by World Cup debutant Senegal in the opening game of the tournament. It got no better for France, who exited the tournament at the group stage without scoring a single goal, while Senegal built on their win to make the quarter-finals.
At 2 is when Germany stunned the whole nation as they battered Brazil in the semi-final of the 2014 World Cup. Sure, Brazil were without their talisman striker Neymar, but no one would have ever predicted such humiliation. 4 goals in 6 crazy first half minutes saw Germany incredibly lead 5-0 at half-time. And by the time Oscar scored a consolation in the last minute for the hosts, the Germans already had 7 on the board. The result equalled Brazil's worst ever international defeat. And if that wasn't bad enough, with one of his goals, Miroslav Klose overtook Brazil's star Ronaldo's record as the World Cup's highest ever scorer.
And at numero uno is the Greek team of 2004, the ultimate underdogs who came up with the ultimate shock in football ever. They may have entered the 2004 Euros having never won a match at the final stages of an international tournament, but that was all about to change in the wily German coach Otto Rehhagel. Relying on discipline, commitment and supreme fitness, the Greeks made it to the final where they faced the host nations Portugal, who had the attacking talents of Luis Figo, Ronaldo, Rui Costa and Deco in their squad. But the Greek gods were to keep smiling, as an Angelos Charisteas goal led Greece to an upset 1-0 win to leave Cristiano Ronaldo and the nation in tears.